We're about to get into our snow-covered tree project. This is a really fun and quick and easy project to draw trees covered in snow, as you might have guessed from the title. But we can make it look pretty realistic with just a couple of supplies. I've got a pencil, which you may or may not want to use to do your first initial sketch. And I've got a brown oil pastel, and I've got a white oil pastel. You may also use chalk pastels if you do not have oil pastels. If you do not have chalk pastels or oil pastels, crayon can work. It won't be as bright and vibrant as an oil or chalk pastel, but you can still try that on your blue paper. So here we've got our blue paper. What I'm gonna do right now is make a little line at the bottom of my paper just to show where the ground is going to be. My tree is going to come up out of the middle of this nice snowy spot. Now, as I said, you can go ahead and draw with pencil, but I'm gonna draw with my oil pastel so you can see it a little better. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see my pencil lines very well. Oh, not too well. You can see them a little bit, especially if I hold it up close, but I will use my brown so you can see it a little bit better. So the first thing I like to do when I draw a tree is I like to make a nice lean trunk. So here's the middle of my paper. I'm gonna go almost to the middle of my paper there. Check this out. This is at the very bottom, and it's about the length of my finger to my knuckle. Same thing here, a little bit longer, about the length of my finger. So we're not quite hitting the middle yet. So I've got my trunk. Now what I wanna do is I'm going to make a letter Y out of this, a big block letter Y. Can you see the letter Y there? I'm gonna color that in so you can see it a little bit better. It's very open here. It's not very lean, it's very open. Here's my letter Y, coloring it in brown. Pressing nice and hard. If I don't press hard, you're gonna see a lot of that blue. See the blue little pieces of paper in between. So I'm gonna press nice and hard. Then, right out of the middle of that letter Y, I'm going to have my trunk continue up. And now here's the middle of my paper. It's going a little bit past the middle. And guess what? I'm gonna make another letter Y on top of that. This one's smaller, a little bit skinnier. And then you guessed it, from the middle, one more. This one's the skinniest one, it's the smallest one, and it's another letter Y. We're kind of looking like a tree right now, but we also could use a little bit of work. We need a little bit more detail. Trying to cover up this sunny spot here. Kind of, sort of, maybe. Sorry about that. Working at certain times of day gives me sunshiny spots on my paper. All right, we'll just have to deal with that. Now, this first letter Y that we made, right on top of this, go to the left side of your letter Y. We're gonna make a letter V right here. See the letter V? I made that letter V right there. Same thing on the other side, letter V. And our goal is not to make them look exactly the same on both sides, by the way. We want them to look a little bit different because that way we won't have a perfectly symmetrical tree. Symmetrical means the same on both sides, and we don't want it to be perfectly symmetrical. So on top of these V's, what I'm gonna do is make another tiny little stick letter Y, another one over here, stick letter Y, same thing, stick letter Y, stick letter Y. Same thing on this letter Y that we made. Remember this middle one? Almost reminds me of a fountain or a chocolate fondue fountain. Let's go to the middle layer. Make a letter V, make a letter V, both sides. Now super skinny letter Y, super skinny letter Y. Starting to look like a tree, isn't it? Very last one. This one's pretty lean already. It's very, very much of a thin part of the trunk. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make another letter Y. And this one's a little bit curved coming out of the top, and another one there. Now, it's kind of really symmetrical right now, right? So what I'm gonna do is, I think I have a little space here. I'm gonna go ahead and add one more branch, and I'm gonna make a letter Y at the end of it, just so it's not perfectly symmetrical. We don't want it to be perfect on both sides. So this way it gives it a little bit of balance. All right, we're pretty much done with our brown. If you have a black, we can add a little bit of shadow to the tree. I know I said originally these two, but if you want to give your tree a little bit more depth and a little bit more interest, we can go on one side with the black and just give it a little bit of a shadow on one side. See how I'm going under the branches on this side too? Just a little bit, just gives it a little bit of an extra kick. All right, now on to the fun part, the snow. Let's go ahead and get out our white oil pastel. And on the tops of all the branches, I'm gonna have you make a couple little white lines. Now try not to go into the brown. If you go into the brown's gonna mix with the white and it's gonna look like dirty snow. See how I went into the brown? So we're gonna try and stay right on top of the brown, if we can, and have it pile up where you think snow would pile up. So on the top of each little branch, I'm just going a quick zigzag back and forth motion just to fill up my space and to add snow on the top. See how quickly it's going? So I've filled up the insides of my letter sections here, my letter Y's. I filled those up. Just put a little bit on top of each branch. I'm gonna do the same thing here. A little bit on top of each branch. Just a quick zigzag. I'll fill this one up. And we're pretty much done with that side. If you wanna go all the way down, you can. Sometimes a fresh snow clings to the trees and it looks so beautiful and it covers every single part. So you could do that if you want to. Next, we'll do the tops on the next one. Just the top. We don't wanna have snow underneath. If you put snow underneath, it's not gonna look as realistic. So we'll put a little bit of snow on just the tops of our branches. Come down, fill this up with a little extra snow. Filling it up. It's really starting to look like a winter wonderland tree here. It's very beautiful. And that's, oh, we got another one right here. So that's it for the tree. Maybe a little on the side, I don't know. You decide if you want to do a little bit on the side. So we have a piece of, we have darkness on this side, maybe a little bit of lightness on this side. Remember how we outlined it with the black a minute ago? So now a little bit of light, so just a little more shadow. That looks all right. Okay, so now to finish up our piece de resistance, we need to fill in our snow and maybe make some snowflakes too. So if you want to, you can peel your oil pastel. These are always kind of tough to peel. You gotta kind of dig your nail right in there. Dig your nail in and start to peel it. And then it starts to peel a little bit easier. But if you want to peel it a little bit, and then I like to go on the side. And if I push down on the side, I can fill in an area, a large area pretty quickly. I'm just kind of pushing down at the same time. However, this isn't really, really dark, or in this case, bright white. So if you want to use the tip and color it, you can do that too. It's a little bit, oops, these skinny ones break. Don't worry, they still work great. Press down if you want to have a more intense, brighter white. Or if not, keep it on the side and do that side rub. What's missing on a wintry day? You tell me. I know, I would be out there making a snowman, to tell you the truth, if we had no school. Another thing you could add, maybe a fence, maybe a child playing, maybe a sled leaning against a tree. What about snowflakes? Is it snowing out? Have a couple small dots, have a couple big dots for big flakes. Mix it up. If you really want to, you can make some snowflakes with a plus sign and an X through it. There's a bunch of different ways to do snowflakes. I'll make a couple of those. I'll make a couple of dots. Be careful as you're pushing down with the dots because you don't want to break your oil pastel if you already have. Oh, the sun is moving really fast. Every time I move the paper, the sun moves. It's so funny. As the earth turns, the sun is not moving, the earth is turning. And you get the idea. A couple of big ones, some small little dots, some of these, sorry about that, some of these X's and crosses. Anyway, what extras can you add to make this more unique and original? Take a peek at that. Pretty cool, right? I call that the Y trick. You make letter Ys to make a tree, and it's really just 2 or 3 colors, and you can make this amazing piece of art for a perfect winter project. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I can't wait to see the extras that you add to it. What else can you add? Show me when you're done.